welcome back to All Blues News. Today, I'm Alex, this is Jessie, and this is Steph Lewis. What made you want to be an MP for Whanganui?
That's a great question. Thanks, Alex. I wanted to become the MP for Whanganui because I grew up here. I was born and raised in Whanganui and also in a little town called Waverley, about 30 minutes north from Whanganui. And I guess when I came back after I finished university, I saw that there were some changes around here that I wasn't happy with. For example, we had young kids sleeping in cars, and I just thought, this isn't the town, this isn't the place I grew up in, and that's not what we're about here. And growing up as well, my own family went through a few hard times, and I guess that really shaped my views on how we help people. And so based on my work experience, my training as a lawyer, I thought actually I can give this a go and I can find a way to help people and make sure that in Whanganui we don't have young families sleeping in cars. So that desire to help people is a big part of why I do what I do.
What do you have to do each day as an MP?
That's quite a tricky question because every day is different. So, for example, this week is what we call a recess week, which means that I'm based in the electorate here. So today I'm in Whanganui. I had a tour of the regional museum this morning. I did a Zoom hui. Tomorrow I'll be in Hawara because our electorate goes all the way up to just north of Stratford, and I will be meeting with constituents, doing a couple of school visits and talking to a few teachers up there. So every day is a bit different. Thursday I'm doing what's called a constituent clinic, which is where I go to a public place like one of the libraries or a cafe and invite voters or individual members of the public to just come and sit and have a chat with me, tell me what they might be concerned about, what they think is going really well here in Whanganui, or if they've got any questions that I might be able to help with. And then in other weeks, I'm down in Parliament, and so that means participating in the debating chamber, which is what you see on TV. It means participating in select committees, so I'm on the primary production select committee and the petitions select committee, and also just having meetings with people who are based in Wellington whose jobs also impact the lives of people up here in the electorate. So every day is different, and that's one of my favourite parts of this job.
Very interesting. What is your personal political device? Or belief, sorry.
My personal political beliefs comes back to that first answer around fairness and wanting to help people. I want to make sure that we have a system in place that ensures nobody falls through the cracks and make sure that we are helping those who need it most and helping them in a way that means that they can make a better future for themselves or their children. I think that's a really special quality about New Zealand, is that we do try and lift each other up, and that's what I want to see more of happening in our communities. So what really drives me is fairness. I don't know if you've heard of the Maori proverb, he aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. What is the most important thing in the world? It is the people, it is the people, it is the people. So for me, that's always front and centre. And sometimes that means, looking after people also means looking after our environment. So I try and take a really holistic view and be approachable and inclusive, and definitely that fairness is a big driving factor.
Is it difficult looking after children while being an MP?
I think, Jessie, every parent struggles. So every parent has to do that juggle, getting out the door in the mornings, making kids lunches. Since having my own children, I think back to my mum who had 3 kids under 5, and my dad was a shift worker. And I think how challenging that must have been for her. looking after us kids. I'm sure we were probably rat bags at times. But yeah, every parent has to juggle. I'm really, really lucky though in that I've got lots of really good support around me to help me look after my children as well. And I actually, when I got elected, my husband and I made an agreement that we would have Sundays, which would just be our family day for us to spend together as a family. So go out to lunch at a cafe together or to the beach in summer or a park. So as we make sure that we're trying to spend that quality time together.
Interesting. Are there any other countries' political systems that you think would work really well, and why, if there are?
I think that's a really interesting question, and my answer is not politically. I think because of our particular geography here in New Zealand, our population size, I think on the whole our political system works quite well. I think in the future what we will have to at some point probably talk about is the question of whether or not we become a republic, whether we have a monarch, the king or queen or whoever in the future as our head of state based in England, or whether that will change, and if so, what will that look like? Will we have a president, or will we continue with some form of governor general, or what will that head of state role look like? I think that's a question that we will probably end up having to talk about as a country at some point in the future. But there is one change that I think also is worth discussing, and that's more around our judicial system. And what I would like to see is more of what we call an inquisitorial approach. So that's where your role in court is to ask questions to find the truth. Whereas what we have now is more of an adversarial system, which is basically putting parties against each other and seeing, in a way, who comes out on top. That's quite a simplified version of it, but I definitely think there's more of a space for that inquisitorial style system to come in here, and I think that will also more naturally lead to better outcomes for victims as well in the court process. So politically, no. I do think that going forward, though, there are going to be some discussions which will potentially see our political system change somewhat, but I'm really proud of the fact that we have the representation in our parliament that we have through the system that we have. So we're one of the most diverse parliaments in the world at the moment, and we've got more Maori in parliament than we've ever had. We've got more Pacifica MPs in parliament than we've ever had. And so that diversity, I think, is really special, because there's stacks and stacks of research which shows that having diversity in your decision-making table means that you're going to make better decisions, which will lead to better outcomes. Does that answer your question? Awesome. Back to you.
What are your future plans for Whanganui?
Future plans for Whanganui, again, that comes back to my answer on the first question, is I want Whanganui to be a great place to grow up, to have a family. When I grew up here, if you want to go to university, obviously you've got to leave town and then come back. And for me, that coming back part was hard, because I came back and there weren't any jobs for me. So that was a real challenge, and it meant that I ended up having to sort of travel back and forth between Whanganui and Wellington over a number of years just to find work. So what I want to see is that we that we keep what's really special about Whanganui. So that really nice feeling that we have of connectedness here, that nice pace of life that's just calm and a great place to raise a family. But I want to make sure that there's something for our young people to do, be it at primary school age when you go down to the park or the beach, but also once you get to a teenager years as well, and make sure that there's something of interest for teenagers in particular to do, because that's a feedback that I hear time and time again. But also education and training opportunities and job opportunities for young people once they finish their education, and I want this to be a place where you don't have to leave and then come back necessarily to be able to get the qualifications. So I want to keep supporting Whanganui to grow as we are, to continue focusing on creating jobs here, to continue work on building more houses here, and just supporting the growth of everything we love here, be it the arts, the sports, the culture. I think it's a fantastic place to live. Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Welcome to Royal Blues News. I'm Olivia and this is Fishfuck, and today we will be doing a road patrol demo.
You'll notice a few calls throughout the demo. Firstly, wait.
Check.
Clear.
Cross now.
And only cross when the warden says cross now. Let's view the demo. Wait. Check. Clear. Cross now.
Kia ora, I'm Ben. I am the St George's Community Constable, and I'm responsible for training your students for our road patrol team. The crossing point that we have there, they're doing an excellent job. It's really important that as students that you're listening to the instructions that you're given by the leaders of when to cross and when not to cross. They have been trained of when to make good, safe decisions. And we also are asking those families that are driving through that crossing point to be aware of where other cars are, where students are, and to make sure that they are staying safe as well. So thank you very much for watching, guys.
Kia ora, ko Olivia tuku ingoa.
Ko Vishvak tuku ingoa. And today we're interviewing Whaea Delphine about Maori Language Week. Are you enjoying Maori Language Week?
I am indeed. I've been looking forward to this week very much. So thank you for interviewing me.
Could you explain the history of Te Reo?
If we've got all day, I could, but instead, perhaps if I just mention that it is 50 years since Te Reo Māori was made a national language of Aotearoa. So it's a very exciting day today. We've celebrated 50 years all together at midday today.
What is your favourite Te Reo story or waiata?
I think my favourite story is how Maui caught the sun. My favourite waiata, too many to name.
Ngā mihi.
Thank you for letting us interview you.